Wish us luck. We're going live. Yep, we're live now. I'll kick
Panther Nation, the C3 podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com.
I had fun, man. Just out, you guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
We're gonna go out there and we're playing to win. We're not out here just to show up. We're out here to win.
I don't want guys that want to win, because really, who doesn't? Nobody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. I want players that hate to win.
This embodies everything that we are as a team, as an organization. Our motto is keep pounding. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Jones, the C3 podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where sometimes things work and sometimes they don't, but we're here a day late and $1 short, but we keep pounding. It's Wednesday night. I'm here to hang out with my boys and talk some Carolina Panthers. I'm here with Joe Riolano and Cody Lashney. What's up, fellas? All right, let me get an audio verification from the chat room. We just need to make sure that you could hear Joey and Cody. If I can get just someone to verify that. Guys, tonight's show, sorry for all the problems. Up my volume a bit. You got it. Now, is that for my mic or for the guys? No audio on Cody. Yay. That's what we get for this. I think I can solve that. We'll try this right now. Cody, give him a little hello.
Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. David Tepper is the owner of the Carolina Panthers.
Now I think we're good to go. So, look, tonight's show is, what is tonight's show? Tonight's show is Rookie Minicamp, more swag, and Panthers' new billionaire owner. We're going to be talking about, it's only sound I got is you, Tony. That was for your mic. Yay. So I think, though, we should be working, I hope. Cody is quiet now. You got Cody. Joey, say hello to somebody.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Some interesting takes on David Tepper when the time comes.
Could you hear Joey spoke?
Saying that I'm still very low. 10 says he has me.
All right. They said they hear you. All right. So, guys, we're going to talk. Finally, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the sale of the Carolina Panthers, some rookie mini camp information, and also, I think, what else did I have to say? Oh, so we also got rid of the disappearing man, Russell Shepard. We'll be talking about all that tonight on the show. Thanks for bearing with us and all the patience that comes through with dealing with this damn podcast. One update from a software, then a Windows update will throw myself for a loop. I hope I got most of it fixed. I'll fix more later on as we go, but we appreciate your help. Go ahead and subscribe to the show, share the show with a friend, and be sure to like us, rate us, what all that stuff is. So, guys, let's talk about this. I think the number one news has to be the sale of the Panthers. $2.3 something billion, I think. This is the biggest sports transaction, I think, ever. Joey, this is like on the scale. One of the things that we talk about in American history too, just the survey class, is the formation of the big business. Andrew Carnegie and the sale and ultimate formation of U.S. Steel was at one point the single largest transaction on the face of the planet, right? Is the biggest business deal to ever be, right? And I mean, obviously, it's just showing that things are monumental in that industrial complex age. They have come to full fruition in the recreational age, guys. The biggest financial transaction that you can think of at this moment has just become with the sale of the Carolina Panthers. David Tepper has bought them. This guy is an 11 billionaire. If you haven't heard, Joey, go.
David Tepper, I like his attitude. He seemed very sure of himself, very sure of himself, which is something I like. I like the confidence. He bought a house in the Hamptons, I believe, in New York, of the wife of a boss he had when he was working at Goldman Sachs that passed him over for a promotion. So he bought that boss's wife's house, leveled it, flattened it to the ground, and then built a new house twice as big right over where it was. That's the kind of guy he is. And that aspect of who he is has me excited. He's always been a hard worker. He's a guy that takes care of those who help him. I think he made like a $67 million contribution to his his alma mater. And is actually going to donate another 50 or something like that, making it a total of $125 million he's donated back to his alma mater. And I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. You gotta love somebody like that is so philanthropic as well as hungry and a hard worker. So it makes me happy to know that he's going to come in and not be afraid to spend money. That is a bit of good news. I have one concern. David Tepper is a Yankee.
So are you. So are you, Joey.
I am, but I consider myself Southern by the grace of God.
God.
I have to say, I wonder how things are going to go once his Yankee charm wears off. Because as we saw with David Gettleman, everything was great at the beginning, but once you got beyond the Blue Goose and the Hog Mollies, and once you got beyond all that, I think toward the end, he was kind of maybe rubbing some people the wrong way. And that's where my concern is. 5 years down the line, maybe even less than that, how are we as Panther fans going to be feeling about our Yankee owner at that time?
Cody, I'm going to go to you on this, and I'm going to put this out there. A couple of things. Is first, I do want to remind that Joey's a Yankee. We're all carpetbaggers, right? We rescued the South from, right? So let's just remember that, folks. The other thing is that going off to the Yankee charm, I always thought it was Southern charm, right? But turns out it's Yankee charm. Now, look, I'm the first to admit that I'm mesmerized by Dave Gettleman's machismo charisma. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has effect on me. But one of the things that has been frustrating to Carolina Panther fans, I feel at times, is the not rock the boat mentality. We've got to build this organization that doesn't care about the frills, that doesn't care about like propelling this to the top, like ultimately being Dallas one day. And we've seen that in different attitudes throughout. But now we got a guy who keeps brass balls on his desk. Now we got a guy who, Cody, he made a $7 billion trade. One trade. netted $7 billion for his hedge fund. How does it feel to have that juxtaposition of a personality?
Listen, man, you don't get $11 billion being a stupid human being. All right? I mean, we're talking about a man who made the most, I don't know if it's most, but during the financial crisis when everyone was selling off all their stocks, he bought a ton of Bank of America stock and made around $4 billion off of it. I mean, this guy
For
is
himself.
legit, you know?
Yeah, or something.
Yeah, for himself. I mean, this guy, and one of the things about Jerry Richardson is, you mentioned David Gettleman. After Gettleman got the axe, we were sort of left wondering as to why. Jerry Richardson would never say anything. He was very by the books, put out a statement, and that's all we ever heard. Listen, David Tepper is on CNBC around every other Saturday afternoon talking about stocks and bonds. You're never going to have to wonder what David Tepper is up to and what he's pondering and what his next move will be. He's someone that is very upfront. He knows what he wants to do, and he demands excellence. And personally, in an owner, I love that. I mean, that's someone that you want at the helm of an NFL organization.
If you go, I'm telling you, I have not watched it all the way through, but I've probably watched about half of the first season, and I didn't stop watching it because it wasn't good, but just because I got a lot of crap going on. But if you go watch the show Billions, it turns out, it turns out that it's not fictional. It's David Tepper. That's David Tepper. Any man that is working at Goldman Sachs at the highest end of financial investing and then feels slighted because they won't give him a raise. Now, I can understand you got to have that edge. You got to have that dog in you. What we've been trying to say, that kind of Steve Smith, if you want to put it into football context, the dog inside, he's got it. He quits, he goes and starts his own hedge fund, and then makes so much money that he single-handedly is as big as the bank he left almost. And then the idea to spite your former boss in his face, in his decline, you buy his home, but that's not enough. You've got to raise that sucker to the ground, and you've got to resurrect a greater symbol of your balls. Right? That is what that is. And it's crazy to think. This is, to me, the most bizarre thing about this is he's the second richest owner in the league.
Yeah, instantly.
What is that? What is that Jerry Jones that's the richest?
Yeah, I think Jerry Jones is number.
So it could be Jerry Jones.
Or Microsoft. Wasn't he was one of them too?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if he is. I guess he was worth something crazy, wasn't he? Like 40 billion.
Several billions of dollars too. But it may be Jones. I'm not sure.
But I feel like there's an energy going on around the Panthers right now. Dante Jackson is a talker. You have images of Rashawn Golden flipping the bird at Alabama fans. And now we have this, brash owner who knows what he wants, and he gets what he wants when he wants it. And I feel like it's a part of the sign of the changing times for the Carolina Panthers. And personally, I'm more hopeful and optimistic about it than I have been in a long time. I mean, it's almost like a breath of fresh air.
Hold on, I have breaking news. Breaking news coming in. Breaking news.
Oh, God. What is this?
Here we go. The richest owner in the NFL is Paul Allen, Seattle Seahawks. $20.9 billion net worth.
Wait, here comes Slim J and Moneybags going, breaking news in the chat room. Breaking news in the chat room. These guys, first of all, I want to thank all y'all cats in the chat room. You guys are the best. You really make this so much more fun Joey, that's no slight to your Yankee ass. No, is you guys make this show so much better. We appreciate all the people on Facebook that are listening, YouTube. We ask you to give us a subscribe, share the show with a friend, and participate in the show. That's the best way. You can also reach us in the Cat Calls line, 252-228-5098. Just to continue with the Tepper, let's just kind of finalize the Tepper moment. Oh, actually, I do think this. Keith Warlick brought this up in the chat room. He says he's got his popcorn ready because he's already got former employees coming out talking about how he throws things at people and loses his stuff in the office, referring to David Tepper. Now, the thing is, though, is that I don't think that's actually problematic for David Tepper because that is the environment, the pressure cooker situation that these billionaire traders live in. They operate in a different ecosphere when it comes to how you interact, how you live. It's almost like adrenaline junkies with billions of dollars, except their adrenaline is gambling. Right. That's what he is he and think about it, the guy who has the stones to put $4 billion on black that's a big deal, you know. So I think, though, what's different about this with Jerry Richardson is that I think that I'm okay with David Tepper. I don't think he'll act like that in the public realm or with the Panthers. I think you'll continue to hear stories like he fired somebody and burned their house down in front of their children if they lost $1 billion on the market or something. But I think the difference being is that Jerry Richardson worked, at least, I don't know if he worked so hard or if we painted him as a different type of individual above the fray. I think it was obviously he liked that persona, but I think we added to it. We padded it. I don't think you have that with Tepper, and I think that's what Joey was getting to. What happens when the excitement wears off? But Joey, don't you think that it's going to be better, like what Cody was saying, is that a guy who isn't just stoic and removed, but where the owner is now part of the personality of the team? Maybe that's terrible. Maybe it's terrible, but it could also be an added bonus.
We've had this aged, grandfatherly figure as our team owner for the past 25 years, right?
Right.
He's been somebody that, when you think about him, you think of him like with a warm, fuzzy feeling you do when your granddad.
That's why he has to slip you notes that say, do you A, see me like your grandfather, B, your boss, C, your neighbor, D, the creepy guy looking in the window, or E, the guy you want to rub your feet?
Exactly. And now we're getting somebody that's the polar opposite of that. So I think there's going to be an adjustment period. And yes, right now it is exciting, and we're excited about potential, how good the team can be, what he's going to be able to do as far as ownership and what kind of money is he going to be willing to spend. And, there's a lot of things that we're looking forward to finding out. But, what happens when all that wears off, that's where I'm at. I think it's definitely a good move. It's the right move. But, I just don't want to paint a completely rosy picture yet.
Oh, and Tony, don't forget option F. Also, the man that will shave your legs. So don't forget that one.
All right, so yeah, that is awesome. And B is that this is David Tepper is the guy. He ain't shaving nobody's legs.
No.
Let's just put it that way.
It needs to shave the side of his head, man. It doesn't go bald.
Right.
Yeah, dude, once you're at that point, you're way past the point of return. Just go 100% bald head, man.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Hey, when you have $11 billion, you really don't tell somebody like that what to do.
That's
No.
very true.
No, you can.
So if you have $11 billion, you can afford Bosley's.
Yeah, and Lynn in the chat made a great point.
This is an excellent point. I'm glad you're bringing this up. I was going this
he
next.
comes from the Steelers, and he knows the NFL people. He's been around this process. That's why, even though Ben Navarro reportedly offered somewhere in the ballpark of closer to $3 billion, they kept on coming back to Dave Tepper. Because, one, he didn't need a whole bunch of other people to come in with him to scrounge up all the money. He wrote the check himself. And he's already vetted. So, in around 7 days, when everyone meets in Atlanta, they're going to write him off instantly as the brand new owner of the Panthers. It expedites the whole thing. JR gets his money instantly instead of having to go through a whole process. The NFL is comfortable with people that they're comfortable with. It's the boys club, if you will. And David Tepper has been a part of it for a long time, and he fits right into the NFL circle.
Joey, I was going to ask you this: is that if your answer is yes, nobody else knows it, but you and Cody. Do you guys have an echo in your ear?
I do not.
Good. All right. Well, cool. Nice. All right. So I was the last thing I want to bring up, or just talk about Tepper, because I know we're going to talk about it plenty more in the future. With David, first, that is a great point by Lynn, and that is, it's not like we don't know this guy, that the NFL owners don't know this guy, and they obviously are comfortable with what type of person he is, and that's why they fast-tracked him, and they really had this odd explanation about how Ben Navarro made his money, like he was a drug dealer or something. I guess the
He ran a prostitution ring.
yeah. So it's like that's the guy that Jerry Jones called up when he was in town. No, I was thinking though that no matter and we'll go to this point right here. Is I've got an image. I'm gonna put this up, and this is a quote from it's a tweet from Adam Schefter. And the people in the YouTube chat can see this. It says, Panthers owner to be David Tepper wants Carolina's football side of business to mirror the Steelers. Tepper wants continuity, stability, progressive thinking on player contract extensions, and not setting the market on free agents. He wants the Steeler way in Carolina. Now, this is an interesting attitude for someone who seems so aggressive in their other career. I think it's nice to say. I think this is where we'll see maybe Tepper's stamp on this, is that progressive thinking. Like, I think all of a sudden the way we look at the business could be in a more advanced and next level way than it has been. The business side of the Carolina Panthers, the marketing, the logo, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Do you want to see things like a new logo? Do you want, on the field, do you want to see a different potential uniforms? But I think that he's going to bring that business savvy and that financial kind of ruthlessness when it comes. And I think all of a sudden you're going to have a GM. Maybe it's Marty Herney, maybe it's not, but the guy who does the contracts, and there is a guy that's not Marty Herney, that's writing the contracts, that's crunching the numbers, that's reporting to Marty Herney, that dude may be a new guy. Like, it might be like he's bringing in like the descendant of Carnegie, or Andrew Mellon, or whatever his name was, and that guy's going to be writing the contracts. You best beware, folks. Carolina about to make some money.
And look, one thing, the timing of this, I think, is really good, because Tepper does have a lot of money. He is a very savvy businessman, and we now have legalized sports gambling.
Yes.
So,
how do you feel about that, Joey? How do you feel about that?
What do you mean?
about the legalized sports gambling. Do you think that that's going to play a factor maybe going forward
I
with?
think so. I think all the teams in every league are going to try to get in on it some way or another. And that's where your creativity, your business creativity and business savvy comes into play. So I think that's going to be another avenue where him coming on right at this time is perfect.
Cody, do you think though that he can turn off that switch where he says we want continuity, we want stability? Do you think he can let those things override his desire to have immense success?
I don't know. And you see that's a great question because I'm torn on that. Part of me loves that he's not just a football owner and that he makes his money elsewhere, because it means that he's made so much money elsewhere that he knows what business decisions to make, and he views his purchasing of the Panthers as an investment. He wants a return on investment. It's that urgency that I don't really feel has been here for a few years with the Carolina Panthers. It's we haven't had back-to-back winning seasons, and that's for different reasons. But one of the reasons why I'm hopeful is being reported that he doesn't want to change much of anything. Not Ron Rivera, not Marty Herney. Cam Newton's under contract. We have a stability in our locker room that I don't think, even if David Tepper wanted to, he could come in and just start undoing. We have a bunch of strong captains in our locker room, people on our coaching staff that know how this organization is run and what the atmosphere of the building needs to be. So that's why I'm more hopeful about David Tepper than I am pessimistic, because I think that really he's walking into a perfect situation. I mean, we were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I mean, we've only lost because we faced the best defense in the past decade. We had an MVP quarterback. He's moving in on an investment that he's hoping to have a return on soon. And I think that's why he bought the team. If it was the Browns, I don't think he would have been buying.
Yeah, Joey, I just feel like who in the organization, one of the things that's just when people say the way a business has been run, right? And that is the Panther way, the Carolina way, how the building works and all of that, is that we've never seen a transition from the top down that throws that into a loop. Those traditionally in the football world and specifically in Carolina are bottom up. Is that if anybody's going, it's the guy lowest on the totem pole, not the guy on the highest. So now you've changed that. I would think this, and like Lynn says, is why is consistency not consistent with success? I don't think we're going to come see David Tepper come in and clean house immediately. But I could see this is that I think that Marty Herney and Ron Rivera and the entire coaching staff could potentially have a 2-year window. And I think what you would see is
No, Tony. I think you're absolutely 100% right.
I think what you would see I think you would see after this year, if things were not pleasing, that you see the change in management. You would see Marty Herney and the general managing change there. And then the following year, you would let probably Ron Rivera have one last year. Maybe you don't even put your general manager in that position, but then the following year, Ron Rivera has that last opportunity, and then the general manager is going to start calling some new shots. I think, though, he'd be more prone to make those decisions quickly at that point because he doesn't like to lose.
No, and I think, if we go the first 10 games and we're 2-8, there's going to be a lot of talk about things needing to change. So, right now we want everything consistent. And look, if he really is truly going to try to do things the Steeler way, they are never very or overly reactionary. the Steelers are slow and steady. You know what you're going to get from them. So if he's planning on being that way, then yes, I think you're absolutely right. If there is a problem, which there shouldn't be, but if there is a problem, there is a 2-year window to get it worked out.
I want to
I have a
raise.
question.
Go ahead.
Well, I have a question for both of you. So, in Adam Schefter's statement, it seems like a bit of a contradiction because he says, I want progressive thinking on contract extensions and not setting the market on free agents. So, to me, that's like, that's a question mark. Because if you're progressive on player contract extensions, does that mean you're cutting them early or are you holding on to them longer? And if you're not setting the market on free agents, that means, well, okay, what happens when Cam comes up for a contract extension and there's some, awesome quarterback coming out in the draft and he wants to trade away all the picks to go and get him, like it's still open-ended. There's so many question marks right now that, that confuses me more than it does tell me something.
Well, maybe I wonder if he's going to be starting to think of this is that you've got collective bargaining coming up.
Yeah.
There's going to be some changes in the whole system. Now, the owners hold the upper hand in all of this, and they will continue to do so in the NFL. But, maybe that progressive thinking is in fully guaranteed contracts for certain players or certain types of things. It's thinking this, is that how would you have kept Le'Veon Bell happy ultimately?
Never.
Well, yeah, but he has an argument in many ways, and the argument is that like I understand that running backs are not particularly the most important position on a team, but I am like a transcendent running back, and so you don't have to pay me for 10 years, but maybe you do something like you pay me like an absurd amount of money for 1 year, and then I don't know how you would do that, but that maybe we're gonna see some changes there. I want to bring up this because then we're going to get into the cat calls, and then we've gone way far longer on this than I wanted to because I got some audio too from rookie minicamp. We got to talk about the swag and the style that these guys have. I saw a great comment in the chat room, and I think it was from RMT229. Forgive me if it wasn't. Is that he said, "Look, what do you think?" Potentially with the backup quarterback situation, could the Jets possibly cut Teddy Bridgewater? And if they do, is that a good option for a backup quarterback in Carolina because he's familiar with North Turner has some familiarity with him as a rookie? I think that would be interesting because I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater would ever bring the cachet of like replace Cam. But if there were something to happen, I really like Teddy Bridgewater as a player. I think this would be excellent. I just don't know if the Jets, do they cut Teddy Bridgewater?
He's so inexpensive. I don't think they would because of how good he is and how little money they're paying him.
Yeah, and another thing is we signed an undrafted free agent by the name of Kyle Allen, and once upon a time this guy was a 5-star recruit, went to Texas A&M. He had a bunch of stuff happen to him, and it never really panned out for him. But I'm not a Derek Anderson fan, and I
God, no.
We need to bring in someone else, and I like the fact that we have the Meineke tire guy on our roster now. He's been learning. We have Allen on the team. Personally, I would have preferred Joe Webb over Derek Anderson. But I don't know. When it comes to the Jets, it all depends on Sam Darnold. If they feel like they're comfortable going forward with Darnold and McCown and Bridgewater gets the axe, yeah, I don't mind bringing them here. The Philadelphia Eagles, they showed everyone, if you have a competent backup quarterback, you can go far as long as your defense is still running.
Yeah.
I think with the backup quarterback, you have to kind of make a decision, and that is, do you just bet all in on Cam, which I think is truly an option, which is like no backup plan. You know, it's all or but. Like if Cam goes down, then we just write it off and we move to next year. I think that's actually a legitimate thing that you could say. Or right, but I mean, or the other philosophy is to maybe have a quarterback that's good enough to get you to the play. You know, I mean, I think that Foles as a Super Bowl quarterback is, I mean, it's a 1 in a million type thing.
Yeah, I think you're right, but at the same time, all it does is prove that it's possible.
Yeah, I think I do think Teddy Bridgewater would be an interesting get. I
like the idea. If we could pull it off, I'd love to have him as our backup. You know, he's capable of playing the position.
I want to kind of sign Blaine Gabbert.
Who?
Blaine, his name is Blaine Gabbert, but one time on the television they actually misspelled his name on the player card and called him Blaine Gabbert. And I really want Blaine Gabbert as our backup quarterback so I could just message Charlie Casarelli. What's his name? Casserly.
Casterly.
Yeah, I'm gonna message him every day and be like, "Remember how awesome Cam is?" Blaine, right? All right, so let's get into these cat calls and then we'll get back to rookie mini camps.
So, what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So, how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's going on, T3? It's your boy, Black Cat. I really wasn't able to call or whatever last week, but I want to thank you guys for the invite. Had a blast on the podcast. It was pretty fun. Now, there's a few things I wanted to say about the draft real quick. I really do like the DJ Moore pickup, and I get why we did it over Ridley. Which Ridley, yes, he's a great route runner. He's going to be a great player. Hopefully, he's just good because he's on the Panthers, on the Falcons. But the reason that the Panthers decided to do it is because of what Moore brings to the table when he has the ball in his hand. Moore's upside, like the potential and upside, is greater to me than Ridley. Ridley has the makings of a really good receiver. The height of DJ Moore can be crazy. I mean, it can be crazy good. And he does remind you of a little bit of Steve Smith. I love his attitude, and I think that's what he's going to bring to the Panthers the most, is his attitude, which a lot of people aren't talking about like that. But, you know, the Panthers at times can be soft, even with Cam Newton. And I think he's going to bring a little ruggedness and talking trash type stuff in our receiving room, which would be awesome. I love, you know, I really would wanted Landry for the pick number 2, but I see what we're doing. We're trying to get faster in all areas, and we got one of the fastest people in the draft, you know, at cornerback. He has potential. He has not great instincts, but he has okay instincts. But his speed is going to be great in our system because, you know, we run more zones. Our third round pick, real quick. I actually like him. I've seen him play, and I watched a lot of film on him. The only knock that I personally have, he has actually upper, you know, instincts, like almost not as quite elite, but he has really good instincts. But he doesn't have any hands. Like he dropped so many picks in college, it didn't make any sense. And one last thing that I was just having a discussion on Twitter back and forth with North Turner. North Turner with the weapons he has, watch what he does. A lot of people are against Norv Turner. Trust me, Norv Turner is going to make Cam Newton back on elite. Keep on forgetting y'all have a timer, but
This is my favorite part.
Norv Turner, regardless of what people think, he had a couple things after San Diego that wasn't so great. This is a mirror image of how he ran in San Diego. If you look at the weapons we have a tall, big receiver, like Vincent Jackson with Devin Funchess, and then we have really quick, shifty receivers. And I think he's going to be able to use them in the right way. I honestly think that he will make Cam Newton's career take another level because he's going to scheme the receivers to get open. And I really think that he's going to get Cam Newton to playing back at his elite level because regardless whether a lot of people want to admit it and everything, he does have some sort of accuracy issues. It can be overblown at times, but I've seen him miss like crazy throws that any NFL quarterback should make when it's not even pressure in his face. I think that they're going to kind of tone Cam Newton and just adjust him a little bit and fix some of his mechanics. You can't really fix a lot because he throws the ball off his back foot a lot. So you can kind of tune it to where he can lower the projection on his throws. So I do believe that Norv Turner and his son will be able to help Cam Newton a lot more than what Shula could, because I think he reached the end of his growth with Shula, and Shula couldn't get any more out of him because, Shula kind of sucked. But other than that, I love the podcast. Keep it up. And for those that don't know, like I said, you can catch my podcast, the Black Cats Podcast. It gets released generally every Sunday. And thank you guys for the opportunity to get my voice out. And I love the podcast. Keep it up. Keep inspiring me. Yeah, I'm trying to be more consistent with my podcast, and y'all are the forefront of that consistency. And I love you guys, and keep pounding.
All right, so lot to unpack in that call. The one thing we're not going to talk about in that call is Dante Jackson, because I think that probably somebody in the next series of calls will mention it. Let's break down Norv Turner real quick first, Joey. One of the things I'm excited about Norv Turner that I think Black Cats was talking about is that it just seems like that Norv Turner it could be a different level coordinator than Shula. What I think is all of a sudden, I don't think that Shula had always been, I think he got a bad rap at times. I think a lot of it's execution. But at the same time, you never go like, oh, Mike Shula's going to kill this team. I can't wait to see what Mike Shula's going to do to this defense. You didn't ever feel that way. I think that maybe with Norv Turner, his background, his coaching, his experience in so many ways, and probably his confidence in his own self to a degree is going to bring a different approach, even if the scheme is very similar. And I think that's going to, like what he's saying, is translate into Cam Newton and this offense being much better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think what you have with Norv is Einstein's football level knowledge, and then what you have with Shula is, kindergarten cop. So you're talking about really, really different levels of thought when it comes to their offense, their knowledge of offense. And what Cam is going to be able to get from Norv is going to totally change him. We're going to see the best version of Cam we've seen yet. Now, we may not go 15-1, but I think Cam is going to be set to have his best year ever.
I like to hear that. Slim J says he's going to go back to throwing 400 plus. I'm going to turn the mic over to Cody after he listens to this. One question I have for you, Cody, is about DJ Moore. So we'll go back to the beginning of that call with DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley. I agree 100% with the upside of DJ Moore, but the one thing I've been confused about is this this attitude, this jibber jabber that DJ Moore supposedly brings. This is DJ Moore talking about Cam Newton, calling him out on his swag.
That you guys need to get your swag up a little bit. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, they're going to have to show me what they're talking about. But I seen Cam, his style. I don't know if I want to go that high on the swag meter, but get some pointers.
Have you guys been in communication at all?
He FaceTimed me after I got drafted, and I had texted him like a week ago. So
Is that a little surreal?
yeah, that is. To be texting Cam Newton, yeah.
How do those conversations go?
It's his own swag. He made his own swag, so like it's fun to see him, but like I wouldn't go that high.
Why would you do that?
That ain't me. I'm more of a laid back, like under the radar, and he like just pops out because he can.
All right, so my thing is this: is DJ Moore has that, he has the physique of a guy like that, but boy, when you hear him talk, that's not Steve Smith holding an interview.
Oh no. I prefer him to be that way. I mean, listen, I know he's on a division rival, and there's no reason to ever compliment the Falcons, except for when you're talking about Julio Jones. Julio is everything that you want in a receiver, and he's humble. And you want that because when you have a diva of a wide receiver, that's when you have Dez Bryant type situations. Yeah. And you don't want that because, to be frank, the offense begins and ends at the quarterback position. It's important to have receivers, as we all know all too well, but in the end, a receiver isn't going to break the game open. So you need a receiver that knows how to do his job and make separation, and that's the whole reason that DJ Moore was drafted. And real quick, I want to go back to one thing from the last call, about Cam not being so accurate, and people talk about his, the numbers and everything. The accuracy of a quarterback, when you talk about completion percentage, that doesn't tell the whole story. That's how accurate a quarterback is in a specific system. Cam Newton, over the past 5 years, has been made to throw tight window passes to receivers that have no separation, hoping that they can come down with the football. That leads to 50-point-something% completion percentage numbers. That's why I like the moves that have been made in the offseason, bringing in North Turner and bringing in guys like Torrey Smith, DJ Moore. That's going to help Cam Newton tremendously. And yeah, I agree with Slim. I think we're going to have a bunch of excellent performances out of Cam Newton this year. You
know what? We need it too. And we don't need it for us. I need it to show everybody. I need everybody to see what I see in Cam Newton every day.
Absolutely.
Is that at the end of the day, if you ain't watching Cam and you're not following the team as closely as all the people in this chat room do, right? If you are a person that just turns on television and checks the highlights, or you're in a different city, all of a sudden Cam Newton is an interesting, exciting player, but he's not taking over the league at the moment. But he is that player. He has been doing it, and he just needs a couple of 400-yard passing games to remind you of all the other crap he does all year. And it is not for me. I don't need that for my own love. Right? It's because I'm Cam Newton, my boyfriend. But the world needs to see why I love him so much. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's go back to the calls. Let me see if I can find where we were at.
So what are your thoughts on catcall?
I think it was the 5-minute mark.
Especially in his face. I think that they're going to you can't really fix a lot. You can't kind of turn
somewhere in there
of his growth.
We gotta listen to the last bit of the call.
Any more out of him because it gets released in podcast. Keep it up. Keep inspiring me. Yeah, I'm trying to be more consistent with my podcast, and y'all are the four. But I believe that.
Hold on. Good God. Here we go.
Excuse me, my name is Christopher. I'm a Carolina fan. But since we first gone to the Super Bowl, 2004, but I believe that this year we have a chance to at least see what we could do. Jackson, possibly Coin Elder come back. But I really think that Golden's going to be a step up for us. And I also believe that we're going to have a healthy run again because we got C.J. Anderson and we also got a pass again. But I also feel like Calvin Ridley should have been enough help too. I love DJ Moore. I see the way he plays Steve Smith. If you call me back at this number, 843-419-0546. Thank you.
All right.
He wants us to call him back.
Yeah, we're going to hit him up.
He said, hit me up.
Hit me. All right. C.J. Anderson, guys, a good signing too by the Panthers. When I saw somebody is, I just think that this helps round out that roster a lot. I like that. We'll keep going, guys, with these calls.
Panther Nation, the Panther team, how y'all doing? This is G. Cavassier, representing that
my
910
dude right
Jacksonville.
here.
How y'all fellas
I love
doing?
this guy.
The quick question I have is, I see that we signed C.J. Anderson, for a good deal, a 1 year. In other words, he has to prove what he's worth or whatever, no big gigantic contract or whatever. My question is, do you see Turner using him like we use Tolbert? In other words, I guess in certain formations he could be used as a fullback, like how we did Mike Tolbert, because Shula, he's gone, thank God, but he, switched Tolbert up a little bit, had him playing fullback. Can you guys seeing him playing a fullback on a couple of plays, or do you think he will be like the number one running back and Christian McCaffrey would be number two? Just give me you guys' opinion on that, and once again, keep pounding.
Joe, I got a strong opinion on this. Is that that's my G, because that's the point. I think that he is bringing. I think all of a sudden, if you think back to the Chargers and Tolbert, is that while he was listed as a fullback, he was truly a running back fullback, and I almost don't think there's going to be a fullback anymore in the way the Panthers line up. I think I could see this is that C.J. Anderson being a running back that's featured and being a guy who plays fullback when Christian McCaffrey is featured. Do you think that are there any similarities there?
I think I don't know. I can't see using CJ as a fullback.
Okay.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't think he's not really, he's not really built for it. He's not the guy you want leading the way. I'd rather have like a pulling guard or a pulling center to lead the way instead. And I think you could have both backs on the field at the same time, but not necessarily one as a lead block. Keep CJ back there to pass block while you send CMC out into the to a route.
Yeah, I think though that while you're not using him as a fullback, it almost becomes you may not be using a fullback anymore.
Yeah, and also remember Alex Arma is a guy that's still on our roster. And and they projected him to play fullback. Personally, I think C.J. Anderson is a Jonathan Stewart insurance policy until Christian proves that he can be the versatile runner that we drafted him to be, being the guy that can catch passes and run into A and B gaps. I think that C.J. Anderson is proven. You know that you can have him in there on third down when the pass rush is coming, and Norvis calling for Cam to take a 5 to 7 step drop. You're going to need C.J. Anderson in there to block the pass rush, and that's personally what I think his role is. That's why it's just a 1 year contract. I think that if they wanted to make him a fixture, it would have been more, but I don't think that was ever the goal. They just wanted someone where if Christian wasn't gaining yards at the line of scrimmage, they have someone who is proven to be able to do just that and that's what C.J. Anderson is.
I forgot to put up this picture of. I think I have a DJ Moore picture somewhere up here of them dressed side by side with Cam. I showed it to Cody before the show. We were talking about the swag of them. I think that it'll be interesting to see how we use that backfield right this year. And you're right. I think what you're going to be seeing is the Panthers are going to be ready to learn about Christian McCaffrey a little bit more. So here we go. We keep going with these calls.
Later.
Excuse me, my name is Christopher.
He's back.
Yeah, listen, I feel like they said we have a chance to make it to the playoffs, but we also have to worry about the teams that's coming up. We have a very hard schedule. I think Dallas is going to be the first test because we don't know what they're going to bring to the table. But I also think that our defense is going to be really good because Rashad Golden and Jackson. Call me back at 843-419-0546.
Call him back, folks. I love it.
He said, would y'all hit me up already?
God, I mean, come on. I mean, like, we're changing the cat. Like, yeah, change the cat calls line number.
Everybody, it's your boy Jared. Sorry I've been gone for a couple weeks on the cat calls, but lightning struck here and took out all the power for over almost 5,000 of us, and it reminded me to keep pounding, man. I know that hopefully we'll figure out an owner. Their deadline for themselves at first was May 21st for the owners meeting so they could vote on it. But what I wanted to call in and say is no matter who gets it, no matter what they do, I have one piece of advice. Whether you move the stadium, move the team, change the name, do whatever you want, I have one piece of advice. Don't touch the Sam Mills statue. Just leave it. Don't move it. Don't degrade it. Because that would be blasphemy. Sam Mills is this culture and this organization. Y'all know it. I love y'all. Keep pounding.
Dang. That's the word. That's the speaking words of truth right there. It's like this. Is you can raise anything you want, which I love that word because it just sounds like the opposite of what it means. And you can raise whatever you want, but not that Sam Mills.
J-Dub, I think he had to hop off, but he was in the chat saying that he was lit when he made that cat call.
He was angry. He had
we were waiting on that one for a minute, but no, I agree, man. Sam Mills, that keep pounding motto, that is the literal heartbeat, yes, pun intended, of this football team. That through owners, through scandals, through no matter what it is, we keep pounding. Sam Mills is the embodiment of that. If that statue, that is the definition of what Carolina Panthers stands for. So yeah, he's 100% correct on that one.
All
Can
right.
I say something?
Please.
Yes.
One thing I hope he does is take down that Jerry statue.
That's a good question to ask here. Is tell me why you think that, Joey?
Because of the shame and embarrassment of the way he's exiting the league, the way he's being forced to sell this team because of the shameful behavior he exhibited throughout his ownership of the team. And, that statue out there is bringing attention to someone that doesn't deserve it.
I could not agree more. I couldn't agree more. I mean, listen, we all have women in our lives that we know and love and care for. Imagine if that was someone that you knew that Jerry Richardson had done that to, and then you're driving by that place and you see this statue enshrining this man and everything that he had done. Yeah, it needs to go, man. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're the richest man that'll ever walk the earth, that's not how you treat people. And especially if you're in a position of power, that's not how you treat people that are underneath you. And it's just, as long as that's up there, I mean, we're still trying to get over all the Greg Hardy BS that happened, you know? And it's like to have that happen on top of it, you know, not to mention he was saying racist stuff, 70% of players are black. It's 2018. Pardon my French, but there's no more room for that shit. And I 100% agree. I said, leave the Panthers up because it represents our offense and our defense.
I like that.
Take Jerry Richardson down and maybe erect a bigger statue
of David Tepper. Oh yeah. What if David Tepper brings it down and puts his own statue up of him like holding, like petting two Black Panthers? You know, I mean, this has been an interesting thing to me. Is that first I think that it should be a no-brainer for it to come down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think there's any. Is that we could discuss, do the Panthers stay, you know, this or that, but at the end of the day, but the thing though is that we all knew it was kind of gaudy to start with.
Yeah, it's right to begin with. Yeah.
It almost signaled that this shit was gonna happen. Like anytime you do something like that, like that's a statue. Well, first it's just a little over the top, period, but. Maybe you do after Jerry passes, after he sells the team and good. You know, it's not like he was going to die in the owner's box, you didn't think. Or maybe he was, but like this is where you got to be careful. You go back, it was Frederick Douglass, you know, the great abolitionist, former slave that stole himself away from slavery and said, I come to you today before you as a robber and a thief. I stole these arms, these legs, and I stole myself away from my master. You know, you think back at that, and one of the things that's interesting to me, and just because I've read about it a little bit, is that Frederick Douglass did not like Abraham Lincoln when he was alive. And when I say he didn't like him, I don't know if it was like I'm gonna punch him in the face when I see him, but he did not like have a reverence for him. In fact, he had a very kind of critical and combative type, thinking that he was a little too moderate, too soft on a lot of things. But after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, Frederick Douglass developed this great affinity for Abraham Lincoln. And one of these authors that I read he contended that it was because Frederick Douglass now got to make Abraham Lincoln who he wanted him to be.
Right.
Because he didn't get to live out those things. So he got to say he was going to do these things. He was this type of person. He would have made this decision. You know, that's the problem, I think, when you memorialize somebody or you glorify somebody too quickly. And if you're a Christian, you kind of understand what the whole message of this, right? I mean, it's like the entire message of Christianity ultimately is right here. And that is, you know, you can't put people, you got to be wary when you put people too high on a pedestal. Yeah. And that was just like, it showed you that it was all over the top. It was just a little too much. And the fact that, by the way, my profile picture, speaking of over the top and too much, my profile picture on Twitter is me on top of one of those Panthers flexing, and the security, the Carolina Panthers security came after us. Like at the time I was like, I'm good. Like, but
I was about to say, there's no way you were allowed to be up there.
Oh, I got up there though. It was off day, and I got up there, and that was my statue for a moment.
Yeah,
so I'll tell you this is the poor version of David Tepper. All right, let me see if we got any more calls.
Hey, to the C3 podcast, Professor Tony Dunn, Panthers drafter Mal Mayock, the freaking Puerto Rican Joe Riolano, and YouTube champion Cody Lashley. We've heard it said, 2 states, 1 team, but listen to this. Forget that. We got the Chicago kid in Illinois. We got Panther Nasty in California. We even got a guy in England. We don't need to limit our motto to 2 states.
True.
It's 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the 194 other countries, 1 team. And another thing, if you're watching this on YouTube, you better have hit that thumbs up button and subscribed. I watch on YouTube, and less than 10% of the people hit that thumbs up button. And who knows how many people haven't subscribed. We can do better. We're Panthers Nation. Keep pounding.
Look, way to bring it. There you go. Less than, that's right. And, and that's what we're saying right now. Smash that thumbs up button. Share this podcast, because what other jokers do you know are going to talk for an hour, over an hour on Tuesday night, about how they climbed on top of the Jerry Richardson statue? How he's not, how about this, is I teabagged him. No, sorry, that was too
Ladies
much.
and gentlemen, you won't get that on NFL Network at any time. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it on your Twitter, share it on your Facebook. We out here, folks. You already know what it is.
Oh, that's so great. Way to bring that home. All right, let's talk about we got two last topics, and then we'll get our ice up picks. Is that DJ Moore said he's laid back. They had the rookie mini camps, and boy, I tell you one thing, is the Panthers.com is really playing to the Dante Jackson chatter. That is like their main focus on the website. You could not imagine a rookie. This is the storyline that they're creating, and here it is. They're not creating it, but they certainly are reinforcing it. Here is a little clip from Jackson when he was getting fitted for equipment.
Send some pictures of me. I got swag.
Yeah, we heard that too.
So he says, I've got swag. And then he comes out and they say, yeah, we heard that. I like that part.
Speechless? I don't know. I thought my phone pot. I probably was speechless. I don't know. I talk. Probably when I couldn't talk. That's probably the last time I was speechless. That's just something that comes with my game. You know, I play with confidence. You know, I'm gonna talk about it. You know, walk it like I talk it. That's just something, you know, that I feel like every DB should have that type of, you know, attitude. You know, some people call it cocky, some people call it arrogant. You know, I just call it, you know, playing DB. It's fun. You know, I feel like, you know, playing secondary. You know, it's funner that way. You know, when you out there, you know, competing and you talk about it. You know, let them know I wake up like this. You know, I just natural edge. You know what I'm saying? Like Beyonce said, you know, she woke up like that.
You know what? First, I love to hear that, because for some reason this is how I envision myself if I somehow was a professional athlete. The total Napoleon complex. Like, I'm gonna remind you every time that I play bigger than you because I'm smaller than you. He is mouthy in a way that, like he said, I think last time I was speechless was before I could talk. That identifies with me, guys. I can identify with that.
I love him. For me, he's my favorite draft pick. I have no problem saying that. I love him. You know, you're hearing the Josh Norman comparisons, and obviously Josh was a talker, so he's going to draw that. But I want to drop a little insight on you. When I was watching film, he was going to be one of my better know a potential Panthers draft pick segments. And one of the things I noticed, so in next year's draft, the number one projected wide receiver is a guy out of Ole Miss named A.J. Brown. They're saying he's the next Julio Jones. Okay, well, let me tell you what. When Ole Miss played LSU, A.J. Brown was a non-factor, and the reason he was a non-factor was because of Dante Jackson. His potential is immense, all right? You're talking a guy, yeah, he's smaller than everyone else. You know, I think maybe the more apt comparison is Captain Munderland, the little dude. He's going to play in the slot, but he's going to make sure that no balls come his way, and you're going to know about it when he breaks one up. And I love that energy. I think that we desperately need that kind of player in our backfield. That's my favorite pick, hands down.
I do think it, and I don't know who it was that said this, but that, like, I like the talk, you like that the Panthers are kind of playing this up, but at the same time let the man play a damn game.
Yeah, true.
But I do think is that I went and saw this is I went and looked at the Carolina Panthers, I think it was NFL.com or somebody put out projected starting rosters. And, Mike Adams was the starting free safety listed. So, and they didn't have any of the rookie DBs, I think, starting in there. Maybe Dante Jackson. I couldn't remember. I have to go back and look. But, I think with Corn Elder potentially coming back, and then you get, hopefully James Bradbury continuing, and now you get two other players in Galden and Jackson. All of a sudden, the secondary can be an opportunity for this team to be an exciting component of the team, not one that you. And let's be honest, folks. For the last 5 years, every time the ball's been up in the air on the deep ball, you've held your breath.
Oh yeah.
You have. I'm going back to the game with Mike Mitchell and where we had to play Mike Wallace and the Dolphins. Is anytime the ball's in the air, you are nervous. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully that becomes something bigger there. Last points this, or something more exciting, should I say. Last point here, the go-to, I want to, Russell Shepard's been cut. Not a surprise to me. Also, not a surprise that he is visiting with the Buffalo Bills.
Not a surprise at all.
Keep rumbling.
Keep rumbling.
On rumbling, baby.
All right.
Listen, man, I just think back to that game against the Miami Dolphins. Cam threw the most beautiful pass right in Shepard's chest and just dropped it. Had post-traumatic stress symptoms back when Ted Ginn was with the Panthers. It's just he was underwhelming, and while I understand he was a good locker room guy, that has to translate to the football field, and it just didn't. I'm surprised that he wasn't cut a lot sooner in the process.
Right.
But now we have more guys in there. I think it was necessary, man. Now we have more money to spend on other areas should the need arise in the middle of the season.
I don't know. It's just so hard for me to gauge, how when you say someone's a good locker room dude, and I'm not questioning I'm not. This isn't a challenge to you because Legacy Lynn is saying in the chat room as well. It's just all we know is what the Panthers team tells us, and they fed us that information of this is, and we got excited about them. So much. That's why I called him the July Wizard, man, is that, boy, he, people were talking about him in camp so much. He's everybody's raving about how, this is going to be this, sneaky, awesome pick. And then he catches the touchdown in the first game, and then he just disappears. Completely disappears, period. So I don't even know how to say if he was a good locker room guy or not. I don't know anything about him outside of that. But, I think this was expected and comes at no surprise. All right, guys, let's get into the last thing is we need to do our ice up picks and get out. I want to thank everybody for jumping into the show tonight, for participating in the YouTube chat. It looks like the stream just slowed down, so people are suffering at the moment probably. Thank God we made it an hour. I'm pretty happy with that. That's a win in my book, and we're recording the audio so you guys can come back for these ice up picks in a little while. So we appreciate all of you. You can get your voice heard on this podcast, like Black Cat said, by using by dropping in on the Cat Calls line 252-228-5098. We encourage you to share the show with a friend. Let one person know about it. Smash that thumbs up button on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and let us know what else you want out of this show. We appreciate your feedback. Guys, let's jump into these ice up picks. And this is the moment in the segment, the segment in the show, that moment where we tell somebody ice up to get it together, to pull it together in that light, that dog that Steve Smith brought out, that trash talk. So now I'm going to open the floor. Joey, do you have a potential ice up pick for us this week?
I do have an ice up pick. I am going to ice up the NFL. Because today I saw a picture of David Tepper at the Super Bowl that we had in February, this past Super Bowl, and he took a picture of himself standing right beside touching, actually putting his hands on Carolina Panthers helmet. So you can't tell me at that point he didn't know he was going to buy this team.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that. So I'm icing up the NFL because why the heck did it take so freaking long? There's no way it should have taken this long. The guy's already a part owner of the Steelers. He's worth $11 billion. Figure it out already. Why does it have to take until now that we're just now selling this team? You know what I mean? He's already been vetted. You know he's got the money. Freaking make it happen already.
Good Lord.
Ice up, NFL.
Ice up, NFL. Look, is that all of a sudden the whole dang show has crashed. Nobody can read us, but we're recording. Cody, who you got for the ice up pick?
Yeah, man. Tonight I am icing up social justice warriors who say they're fighting for social justice, but instead they just lack a little bit of common sense. And man, there was a story in the news about in the new Jurassic Park movie, Chris Pratt is making $2 million more than his incredibly famous starlet. Get ready for this, Bryce Dallas Howard. And at no point does it cross their mind that, maybe Chris Pratt is making more money because he's one of the most popular actors in the world right now. He's in the Avengers. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the lead man in Jurassic Park. Frankly, I'm surprised that he's only making $2 million more than Bryce Dallas Howard. Now listen, I am all for women getting paid what they're worth. If Jennifer Lawrence is in the movie or Scarlett Johansson, yeah, they deserve to be paid the most out of whoever's there if they are the most popular actor, if they're the ones selling the movie. But Bryce Dallas Howard is not selling Jurassic Park. It's Chris Pratt. So to all the social justice warriors fighting for something, but in the end you're just fighting your own common sense, ice up, son.
Oh, good ice up there. My ice up pick goes on the opposite side to the North Carolina legislature. And first, I've been consistent about how these guys are just playing for their own team and how they're not representing North Carolinians, but instead governing North Carolinians. But right now, what I would say is this: is that they're trying to dismiss activism in North Carolina concerning education, about teacher pay, but beyond teacher pay. But we're talking about classroom size. We're talking about education and the investment that we're putting in. So you can invest now, folks, or you can pay later. That's my point. Maybe we are already paying later, but my ice up pick goes to these people that I think are trying to put some disinformation out there or sleight of hand by trying to demonize this by using the word union, because other states have unions. And look, is that unions have a bad rap in the South and North Carolinians. But the idea that you are trying to dismiss something that I think is just a reasonable proposition, particularly in a state that went over 8 years without giving their teachers a raise in between 2008 and 2016. Like, wow. These are not uncalled for type of things. And so when you try to cloud that activism in like, this is unionism, these are people that are walking off the job. Well, those people took a day off from work today. And one of the things I would like to remind is that instead of giving people a raise, one time you did this is like you gave them an extra day off. Like, that's what you said. You get like one paid leave, like you get one extra sick day. That was one of the raises they gave in the past. So like, here, let's just put it this way: is that if you're using your sick leave to go and do something, you know what? Screw you. You're not walking off the job. That's not a strike. And the idea that you guys are so out of touch. Like I told this one guy on Twitter, don't be the one douchebag who says teachers are overpaid. You know, like that's the only person. You know what? You're the one person that hasn't taught fourth graders, and I haven't taught fourth graders, but I wouldn't. So, let's invest in our own children, our own culture, instead of just putting the almighty dyad. So my ice up pick goes to North Carolina legislature. Thank you, net neutrality, for staying around. Maybe that will help this streaming status. Guys, we're out of here tonight. Let's call it a night. Joe Riolano, they can follow you on Twitter. Where?
Follow me on Twitter at Joe Riolano. Thank you. We love you, Panther fans. Keep pounding.
Cody Lashney, the signal just went from bad to good, just so you could tell them what your Twitter handle was.
Hey, all right. My Twitter handle is CODYLAC. It's at CODYLAC. And also, starting this weekend, I'm going to be streaming on twitch.tv/Codais, CODAIS. I'm going to be playing some Fortnite, playing some League of Legends, just chilling, hanging out in the chat, playing some games. Come by and join me.
Well, make sure you hit me up with that, dude, because I want to check that out. All right, my name is Tony Dunn. You can find me at cat_chronicles. You can check our work out at carolinacatchronicles.com. And look, we know that the podcast has some streaming issues, but people are listening. We appreciate your patience. We are going to get all this worked out, all the bugs ironed out. We appreciate it. And just make sure, keep pounding.